Hey everyone, welcome back to Keeping Up with the Chaldeans. We're here with Christine Lucian. The Property Tax Academy is what she's working on these days, and she's also a
Michigan Advanced Assessing Officer.
All right, that's what
Property tax assessor for municipal offices.
That's what I was going to say.
Oh.
No, joking. Well, we're here with Christine, and she's going to fill us in and enlighten us on a bunch of different things about the tax codes and property taxes and all that good stuff. She's an expert in the field, and take it away.
Part of, I started making videos in January of this year because I've been in this industry going on 13 years now. Yep. And within that time, I have seen so many mistakes happen where residents come to me in literal tears because they didn't know how much their taxes were going to be the year after they bought it. All these issues come up. And I thought to myself earlier this year, I'm going to start telling people about this stuff so they can start saving some money. I've seen people literally get hit with $20,000 bills because of mistakes. And I have a big heart, and I don't want people to be stuck with unnecessary bills. So I always urge people to check out your property record card, make sure that all of the line items are making sense, your square footage is right, we're not charging you for extra bathrooms that you don't really have, things like that. So,
where do people look for these kinds of things or mistakes?
You can go to your local community and say, hey, I'd just like a copy of my property record card. Simple. Take it home, look at it, read it. If you have questions or something's not making sense, always go to them kindly, of course.
Yeah.
Say, hey, thanks so much for giving this to me. I was reading it, and I think my square footage may be off by a couple hundred square feet. And I want to know how, we can fix this. And then we'll go into our adjustment mode where we do everything we can to make it right. I don't want to be charging people for things that they don't have at their property. So
the square footage, how would someone go about getting their square footage or measuring out their square footage?
Well, that's more difficult. If they have a recent appraisal, which most new property owners are going to have, they can compare that number to what the community has on file.
Right.
If they built their own home or they worked with a large builder, they can compare the numbers from their builder and just make sure you're on the right track. I've seen square footages that are over 1,000 square feet off.
Oh, wow.
And in the eyes of Lansing, Michigan Department of Treasury, they want property owners to be very diligent in making sure that everything is right for themselves.
Yeah.
So with that, I would like people to make sure that they're checking it out. And it's really important to look at your tax bill as well.
Yeah.
There is a code on your tax bill that'll be near your values. It says either homestead percent or PRE percent, which stands for principal residence exemption. If you live in that home as your one and only main residence, you need to make sure that percentage says 100%.
Yeah.
Because you're saving quite a bit of money with that percentage being 100.
And so they would pull out their old tax bills. This would show up on their old tax bills?
It would show up on their old tax bills, but I recommend doing the most recent one. So in this case, it would be the summer bill that was issued in July.
And is there somewhere they can log into, a URL they can go to get that information?
So they do get it in the mail. Even people with mortgage companies will often get a courtesy copy in the mail. But if not, you can go on bsaonline.com.
Yep.
That is a website where majority of it is free, but not all of it.
Yep.
Otherwise, call the treasurer up in the community you live in and just ask for a copy, whether it be emailed, fax, thrown in the mail, go pick it up. It's just really important. I've personally, just in the last 6 months, found at least 4 residents of mine that have been there for years and didn't know that their percentage was 0. Oh. I just recently, last week, got a woman a $11,000 refund from Macomb County for that mistake.
Yeah, yeah.
She called me to say her last name was spelled wrong, and I said, hey, do you live here? And it was like, yeah. I was like, okay, send me your license and fill out this form. $11,000 in her pocket.
Wow, that's
amazing. It is. So I love helping people like that.
And so I saw you said you started making videos about 8 months ago or so?
my son got his tonsils out the end of January, and I
Yep.
was home for 2 weeks.
Wow.
And I've been complaining about the misinformation in our industry for years. Something hit me. I made an Instagram account, the Michigan Assessor, and just kind of the rest is history.
Yeah. So they can follow you on the Michigan Assessor on Instagram.
Instagram, TikTok, YouTube, it's the same handle on all of
Okay.
them.
All right. Beautiful.
Yep.
And then what are some of the topics you cover on those channels?
So it's a lot of ways to save money, things to watch out for. You know, there are exemption options for people to save additional money for residential builders. There is an exemption where they can save the school operating millage, which could be hundreds or thousands of dollars, on the land they're building a home on if they file a form. And I don't even know that a lot of them know it exists.
What's that form?
There's so many forms. I don't know the
Okay.
exact number, but it is eligible developmental property.
Okay.
Yeah, I made a video about it a couple months ago, and there are 2 deadlines for that one. If you started building after December 31st, but before June 1st, a builder can file it and save the whole year. But if they started building after June 1st, but before November 1st of this year, they can file it and possibly save on the winter taxes as well.
So they're not going to pay the tax because they're not living there currently, or what's the
It's
what's the reason?
specifically school operating millage, which is up to 18 mills of school operating. And the millages can be very high depending on the value of the vacant land. In
Okay.
communities like Birmingham, the vacant land is much worth a lot, and a builder who has no intention of ever residing in the home, and they qualify, they can save thousands of dollars on that operating for the land.
Gotcha.
So it's not for people who are building their own home. You
Right,
have
right.
to be an actual residential builder.
Oh, gotcha. I see.
Yeah. But beyond that, if you own vacant land next to or across the street from where you live, that's residential, you can get a homestead on that vacant lot as well by just filing a form.
Why?
Because if you reside in a home and you own vacant land that's residential that touches it with a border or across the street, because the state doesn't see a road as a distinct breaking
Divider, yep.
then they're giving you additional tax savings for owning that land.
Oh,
But it has to be vacant.
Yeah, yeah.
So, you know, I mean, I've seen a lot of that. I know that, like in Bloomfield Hills, there's some homes that have additional lots attached to it that nothing's on it, and they can save that money on that as well.
Oh, that's crazy.
Yep. Yeah.
That's
There's a lot.
Very interesting.
These are all things that are out there. I just don't know that people know about them.
What are
So,
some other things that you think people don't know about that they can save some money on?
There's so many. I mean, there's exemptions for everything. There's rehab programs for commercial properties. There's, you know, industrial exemptions for people who are going to rehabilitate those facilities. They can apply for certain certificates through the community. Say, I'm going to be renovating for this many years, and they'll give you a tax break because they want progression, they want improvement in their community, so they're going to give people willing to put the money into their community a little bit of a break.
Yeah.
So, you know, there's a lot of things, but being diligent and checking out your own tax bill, trying to understand it, reading it, you know, it's really important.
Okay. And then what are some of the other industries that can benefit from your knowledge? Like,
Real estate agents,
Yep.
title companies, mortgage lenders, investors. I had a class where there was an attorney who found a lot of value in my class, and real estate investors. Wasim AR and Omar Binno came to one of my classes and grilling me on questions,
Yeah.
and I think that just explaining how things work statewide,
yeah.
you can take what you want from it and use it to your benefit.
What are some of the questions that residential realtors had for you after you presented the class or presented the information in the class?
The biggest thing are, what are my taxes going to be next year, the year after closing? Because that is the biggest thing that people are concerned with. Because in Michigan, your taxable value, which is the value in the formula to calculate your tax bill, it uncaps, we call it, the year after your closing. So if you buy a property where the same owner has been there prior to the '08 recession, they're still paying recession taxes today.
Yeah.
Anybody who owned their property in '07, '08 and still has it today, those rates were forced to drop down really low within that period.
Yep.
And because of a law called Proposal A, they're only allowed to creep up the inflation rate every year. So if you're buying a home that somebody's owned a long time, the taxes are based off of how the market has changed over the years of their ownership. But people buying today, their taxes are going to be based off of today's market.
Right.
Which is going to be higher. I did a tax analysis for a new house on the market in Washington Township last week, where the owner has been there since 2008, and because of the recession, he's paying $16,000 in taxes, and because of the gap in that time, they're going to go up to at least $30,000. That's doubling the tax, but there's really no argument with, hey, how can you do that? Because if you compare the city's value to what they just paid for it, we're still much lower.
Right, right.
Does that?
Yeah.
So.
But so what are some of the things that people can do if they dispute it or if they appeal the bill?
Great question. So March is the only legal avenue. March Board of Review is the only legal avenue.
This is March, the calendar month.
The month of March.
Month of March, okay.
There's a
I thought you were going to march on.
No.
Okay.
There's an appeals board every March. It's
Okay.
called the March Board of Review. And residential and agricultural property owners, that is their only legal avenue for contesting their value.
Any March or just the March?
Every March.
Every March, okay.
Every single March.
Okay.
Now, they're going to need several things. The Michigan Department of Treasury says the burden of proof is on the taxpayer. So they need to bring at least 3 comparable properties that have sold that prove that theirs is out of line.
Yep.
They need a appraisal within, I don't know, maybe 6 months, saying, hey, it's only worth $500,000. You're valuing me at $600,000. I want a $100,000 reduction.
Yeah.
Usually appraisals work well if the appraisal is a good one.
Right.
We've seen appraisals where they're not correct on some of their items of the subject property. So.
And that bounces the whole thing
It
out?
does, you know. If it's a duplex and they have it as a single family, it's like,
What?
did you go visit
Yeah,
it?
right.
You know. So appraisal, sales comps. If an investor buys a property and there's holes in the roof, there's water coming through, there's foundational issues, I urge them to bring the cost to cure. Get me some receipts, get me some invoices for fixing these things. If you've gotten quotes from companies, I want to see them. I want photos. All of these can be presented to a panel called the Board of Review.
In March.
They do not work for us. They are a sworn-in position where they go through training in Lansing to be a mediator between the assessor and the taxpayer.
Okay.
Their goal is to listen to the taxpayer, plead their case, and then make an appropriate decision. Now, commercial and industrial can skip that board altogether and go straight to the Michigan Tax Tribunal.
Okay.
But it's free to go to the March Board of Review, so I always tell them, if you have all of your paperwork already, just give it a shot.
But is that decision final?
So Which one? Tribunal or March?
The March.
No, you have appeal rights within 35 days of our decision to go to the Michigan Tax Tribunal if you're not happy. So residential and agricultural properties, they have to use the March Board of Review meeting as a prerequisite to get to the tax tribunal, where commercial and industrial can skip it and go straight to there. And then if you're not happy with the tribunal's decision, you can go to the Michigan Supreme Court and appeal it further, which I have seen people do.
Gotcha. So you said bring receipts about repairs of roofs, and you gave a bunch of other different examples. Isn't that just a temporary relief of the taxes at the time? Because once you bring it up to where they think it is, don't you get reassessed?
Yes, it is temporary depending on what you brought in and what the difference of the values are. That is really subject to the specific property. It changes with the circumstances surrounding each property individually. So it's like when commercial properties go to tribunal with me, because of the way we value them with our sales analysis and everything, even though they're successful at getting a reduction, it could go back up to market value on the books the following year, which I've seen people come multiple times multiple years in a row.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
So you've said "we" a few times.
So I'm an assessor, and the Michigan has hundreds, and probably maybe 1,000 of them. There's
so you work for the state of Michigan currently.
I'm not employed by the state of Michigan, but I am certified through the state of Michigan. So my job, I can go anywhere in the state with my job.
Okay.
I do not work for them specifically, but I'm certified.
You're contracted. You're certified and contracted through the state of Michigan.
I am contracted through a company.
Okay.
Who has contracts with over 23 communities in 6 different counties.
Okay.
But all of our licensing and certification comes from Lansing. Like right now, I am in the master's program to get my master certification.
Wow.
It's a year-long program through Lansing, and that certification is mine. And I can take it anywhere in the state that I want to go with it.
What was the initial process for your initial certification?
So
now we're getting people to be in your competition.
Well, there's 4 levels. There's technician, there's certified, there's advanced, and there's master. I'm currently in advanced. I got my advanced in 2020. I got my certified in 2016. I got my technician in 2012. So, I've taken a little time to do it all, and now I'm in the master's program, and that's the end game. There's nothing higher than that, and I'm really excited too.
It's very, very impressive.
It's about a year program.
Yeah.
It's very competitive. I think they joked, well, it's not a joke, but last year 46 applicants began and only 5 completed it.
Wow. Now, do you think you could have done all this without connection to the Chaldean community?
Well, I mean, the Chaldean community, think about all the business owners, property owners. I mean, that's a big percentage, right?
Your husband.
Yeah, well, my husband's not Chaldean, but
Assyrian.
He is, so his parents are from Baghdad, but my husband's father is Armenian. His parents fled from the Turkish-Armenian genocide during World War II. They fled to northern Iraq, and his mother, her parents also fled to southern Iraq, but they are from Turkey and Iran.
Gotcha.
So both of his sets of grandparents fled to Iraq, where my mother and father-in-law met. My father-in-law, he worked in the Iraqi army for the president before Saddam. My mother-in-law told me the name, and I can't pronounce it, so I'm not even going to try. And then they came to America when they were around 20 years old.
What a story.
Yeah. And then 6 of my nephews are half Chaldean.
Gotcha.
So, they bring the culture in our Sunday family dinners. And
so the Greeks, the Armenians, and the Assyrians are all very close in culture.
They're
Very,
close in
very.
culture, and they're all victims of
Yeah,
a certain genocide.
genocide.
It's a touchy subject, so I'm not going to get into it. But that's history.
Yeah, yeah,
Whether
absolutely.
it wants to be recognized or not, it's history. So, Greeks are kind of their own culture.
Yeah.
To be honest.
Yeah.
But we're all in the same. I've noticed I fit in very well with my in-laws.
Right.
So,
So are you old enough to remember the My Big Fat Greek Wedding movie?
do I look that young?
You do?
No, yes, I do know, and so I'm actually 33.
Okay.
But that movie came out, and it was a big joke in my family. My mom gifted her father Windex for Father's Day, and it was a running joke.
That's
but
awesome.
funny enough, my yaya, which is grandma in Greek,
Yeah.
was appalled by the movie.
Oh.
She found it incredibly offensive.
Why?
Because it was so exaggerated.
Right, of course.
And so she didn't like the way it made Greeks appear.
She's old school.
Yeah.
She's old school.
God rest her soul. But she didn't like it. Well, my papu grandfather thought it was hilarious.
Yeah, of course.
And now they're working on the third one.
Are they?
Yeah, the
Oh,
third
I
one
can't
I
wait to
think is
see
out
that.
in theaters now.
That's great.
Yeah. Yeah, so it's been fun.
So, what else can we tell or enlighten the people on before we dive into the Property Tax Academy?
I always say on my social media, watch your own back. Mm-hmm. I mean, this is your money.
Yeah.
So people work hard for their money. I know I do.
Yep.
So I have learned that just paying your bills without asking questions or without reviewing them,
Yeah.
it's just not cutting it anymore.
Mm-hmm.
The amount of mistakes I have seen from oversights in my almost 13 years is physically hurts me because I'm such an empath, and I can't stand seeing people come to me in literal tears. Why did my mortgage payment go up $500 a month?
Yeah.
How could you do this to me?
Oh, geez.
I didn't do this.
Yeah.
You paid more than what I'm valuing it at. So maybe the professionals who dealt with you before your closing, they need to be educated. Because I always tell people, I'm the last to meet a property buyer.
Yeah.
Okay? They've already closed by the time they come and meet me. You have all these professionals that deal with them before they're closing. If I can educate those people, then they can steer the clients into making a financially responsible decision where they understand how much money they're going to be paying out for years to come.
Right.
Which the trend has been, as long as I've been in this industry, people are literally blindsided by their tax bill a year to a year and a half after they buy it.
Gotcha. What are some of the items that should be on a checklist or a buyer should bring to a closing to kind of look out for? Just a few items during the closing.
During the closing, I would say that the most important thing is going to be what are my taxes going to be once I am officially established as owner in the new calendar year.
Okay.
It's the biggest thing.
Okay.
So, but not only that.
And how do they know that? How would they get that information for you? As the title company or as the broker?
Well, I have a formula.
Okay.
There's two formulas. So the trend has been, and not all mortgage lenders are like this, so I don't want to say they all are, because I've seen some that do a wonderful job at a proper estimate. But a lot of them use the prior owner's taxes, which is listed on Zillow when they are paying, $7,000. And then I mentioned that taxable value number earlier.
Yep.
When that number is far below the state equalized value, at minimum for your formula, you need to be closing that gap.
Yeah.
For example, if you have a $50,000 taxable value and a $100,000 state equalized value, and you know this property is selling, let's close that $50,000 gap right off the bat.
To what? Like 80?
To 100.
Oh, go to 100.
It has to go up to 100 minimum.
Okay. Minimum. Okay.
So let's have your formula be the current state equalized value times the millage rate as your minimum number. And then if you want a high estimate, use your half of your sale price.
But so that's just still, if you use the 100, it's still just an estimate. You're not admitting or triggering anything at the state level to tax you differently.
The state level is not responsible for setting values. We are assessors.
Okay.
So being proactive in closing the gap from the tax rate the prior owner was paying and what the new owner can expect to pay is responsible.
Yeah.
And
ethical.
And ethical.
Yeah.
Using the lower number is pointless because when the property transfers ownership, 50,000 up to 100 is required. It's called the uncapping that I mentioned earlier.
Right.
If the year after they're closing, that 50,000 will at minimum go up to 100,000. It is inevitable.
Where did the 100,000 come from?
It's just that's the state equalized value. That's 50% of market value.
And
so that's for
over a blanket.
That's for a $200,000 home.
Yeah.
50% of that is 100,000, which is our assessed or state equalized value.
Yep.
And because the prior owners lived there so long, their taxable value is only 50,000. But the year after closing, that taxable value uncaps to go match the assessed value automatically, no matter where it's at.
How does it happen automatically?
Because when there's a transfer of ownership and a deed is filed, we get that paperwork, we enter the sale, and the sale date triggers a uncapping in the valuation for the following calendar year.
What do people that are well beyond the year do if they haven't gotten an increase in their tax bill?
Consider themselves lucky.
That's it, huh? Okay.
Absolutely. Yeah.
All right. Cool.
Because it's just depends.
Yeah.
It just
I
depends.
mean, I don't know anyone like that, but I'm just saying it was hypothetical.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Consider yourself lucky.
Not me. So the Property Tax Academy. Let's talk about that.
It's something I
And
just
what it
launched.
is. Okay.
I had such a demand over the last 8 months from realtors to further their education. I get messages every single day, emails, calls, text messages. I have this client and they're really concerned about tax, or even clients that aren't concerned about tax. How do we know how much their taxes are going to be next year?
Yeah.
How can we save them money? So the demand was so big that I got approved through the real estate marketplace for continuing education to create my own academy. And so I am certified now to teach these continuing education classes to real estate agents to get their Con Ed hours and learn a lot because, like I mentioned earlier, I don't get to speak with their clients until it's too late. But if they have the tools prior to closing, and while their clients are shopping, they can really be an asset to their client. They're going to get referrals. They're going to get repeat clients because those clients are going to remember that they had my back. They were informed. They were well-rounded. They knew all of these things, and they watched out for my best interest. And your clients are going to remember that.
Yeah.
So that is the goal of people taking my classes, to become well-rounded, informed, and educated on Michigan property tax because it's part of every single real estate transaction.
Gotcha. And are the classes catered to different industries, or is it one class that any industry can benefit, like the mortgage side, the realtor side, the title company side?
So currently my certified class is a 2-hour legal class.
Okay.
And that legal hours are required for real estate agents. Now, I'm not sure.
So this covers their continuing ed?
Yes.
Oh, wow.
Yes, I got certified through that.
Okay.
I submitted everything to the marketplace, and they approved me to have my own school. So I named it the Property Tax Academy.
Where do people go to find this?
So I have an Instagram page, Property Tax Academy,
Okay.
and my page references this, but I will be hosting Zoom courses,
Yep.
which I will
Live?
advertise. So live is yes.
Okay.
Yes, not on demand. I haven't gone through the on-demand route yet,
Okay.
but that is an option for Con Ed.
It is.
On demand.
Wow.
But usually it's groups that are going to be hosting me. So brokerage offices, any type of office really, and I'm in boards like. Certain boards, like for instance, Northern Oakland Board of Realtors or GMAR, Greater Michigan Association of Realtors. All these boards can host my classes.
Gotcha.
But I will be launching a Zoom course soon.
Very cool.
There's just a lot going on for me. I'm in the
Oh, yeah.
master's program. I've got, the Property Tax Academy, and all the while I'm also fielding all of these messages from people online. Help me, what are the taxes gonna be? And so I love being a public servant and helping just a regular person, but it will go further if the professionals that have a hand in real estate transactions know the information.
Yeah.
Because I'm just one person. So
It's all about scalability, and I think
Yeah.
you're heading in the right direction with kind of planting the seed and then gauging an interest, putting together an academy and a course, and then injecting technology to kind of scale it. I think it's a wonderful plan.
yes, I wish I did it sooner.
It's okay.
And, I think this spreading the information will make the job of assessors easier because we have a lot of issues that we're fixing for people all the time.
Yeah.
But that's not really my motive. I'm very secure in my job, and I can fix things rather quickly and efficiently for residents and taxpayers.
Yeah.
It's more so, I just don't want people to go through that heartache of being blindsided by taxes and overpaying for years and never knowing it.
Right.
It's just the empath in me wants that to change.
Can you develop a course that will help other state assessors or people in your position to be more like you?
It's so funny. I have had other people mention to me expanding it to other states where I'm getting other assessors in other states on board with creating education programs.
Right.
I'm not there yet. It's only been 8 months.
Yeah,
Got my
yeah.
full-time job and, a family. So it's definitely been it's only been 8 months, so it feels weird to say it's been slow, but for me, it's been a slow process because like you said, I'm gauging feedback along the way. I'm kind of been testing this out all year.
Right.
And but I do see greatness for the future.
It always feels longer and harder when you're in the weeds.
Yeah.
So you're in the middle of it right now,
I
and
am.
you're working your way up and out.
I haven't given up yet.
No,
I don't
no need
plan
to. Why would you
because
ever?
Just the feedback I've gotten from non-professionals, regular people shopping for homes come to me online.
Yeah.
Hey, I'm looking at these two houses. Can you give me a tax estimate for both of them? No problem.
Really?
And they're so happy.
Yeah. Wow.
Yeah.
It's nice.
Yeah. It's easy for me to do.
Yep.
And why not?
Yeah, for sure.
Why not help people?
That's very cool.
Yes.
Is there anything we didn't cover that we want to talk about? Plug?
Not really,
Okay.
just the Michigan Assessor on all of the social media platforms. And then I have a new Instagram account that is in the beginning stages of its growth. It's at Property Tax Academy.
Okay.
And that is really mainly for people looking for Con Ed courses. I will be launching more Con Ed courses. I will be doing elective hours, not just legal. I'll be doing 1 hour, 2 hours.
Oh, wow.
It's just, and some of the courses I've done, title companies learn a lot from. But they don't need Con Ed. So
Right.
I do courses.
But the education part of it is still a huge asset.
I only just got certified. I had done 3 classes over the summer for a variety of professionals in the groups where they didn't get any Con Ed for it, but they got so much value and
Yeah.
they loved it because they learned.
Gotcha.
So, yes.
So we close out with a question that, what does it mean to you to be Chaldean? But in this case, what does it mean to you to be connected with the Chaldean community?
It's been an honor getting to know the culture.
Mm-hmm.
You know, although I am not Chaldean and my husband is not Chaldean, because my mother and father-in-law their families fled to Baghdad,
Mm-hmm.
they carry with them a lot of that culture
sure.
with the food and, you know, our family occasions and
Mm-hmm.
our, you know, all of our values.
Yeah.
And I relate with them in so much in that way. And I grew up in Utica. I've had Chaldeans in my school and
Yeah.
my neighbors my whole life. And
Mm-hmm.
they've just always been like-minded with me in our core values and how we view religion and,
For sure.
and everything like that. So there's a lot of value in the Chaldean community for sure, because the richness of the culture and the kindness of so many of them. So
Thank you
it's
for
been great.
recognizing that.
Yeah, and 6 of my nephews are half Chaldean,
All right.
and they dingle, was it Pasha?
Pacha?
Pacha. They dingle Pacha in my face at Christmas, and I haven't tried it yet, but
You should. It's amazing.
a little nervous.
At least try the inside.
Yeah, that's what they
Yeah.
always say.
The tripe is a little different texture. It's an acquired taste for sure.
Well, maybe I'll try it this Christmas.
Do that.
Yes.
Well, thanks for coming out and
Yes, thanks for
enlightening
having me.
and educating our audience.
Yes.
Go check out the Property Tax Academy and educate yourselves.
Yep. And every Friday on the Michigan Assessor, I do a Fun Fact Friday video. So stay tuned to that every
A
week.
lot of amazing information on there.
Yeah.
You're doing a fantastic job. Keep it up.
Possibilities are endless. There's so much information to give.
it
So there'll be a lot more to come.